Do you want a quick and easy no scrap card idea to jumpstart your card making? I've got a super fast template to get you crafting right now. Hi, I'm Jess from jess-crafts.ck.page, and I'm going to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get started. Today I have One Sheet Wonder number 34. This is for A2 size cards with 6x6 paper. If you prefer a different card size or a different size of paper, I've got many templates over on jess-crafts.ck.page, but you can specifically download this one that I'm using today, and it will give you the measurements. It will tell you exactly how to cut all of your paper, and then it will show you how I suggest assembling the paper into an A2 size card, but of course you can modify anything to your personal tastes. I am using some ReverseConfetti products today because I am entering this card into the ReverseConfetti Stock Your Stash Love is in the Air January Challenge for January 2021. I will leave a link to that in the video description in case you want to join in on the challenge. I love ReverseConfetti challenges because they're just themes, so it's really easy to suit it to whatever kind of cards you're in the mood to make. I am cutting 2 long strips for the background, and then a sort of thinner, smaller strip is going to be where I draw your eye and I'm kind of put all my focal point things. And this paper that I'm working with today is single-sided. Sometimes when I work with single-sided paper and a One Sheet Wonder, I'll pick 2 pattern papers so that I can mix up the patterns. But then other times I like to show you that you really can use my One Sheet Wonders regardless of whether you have double-sided paper, single-sided paper, you want to make 1 card or more, etc. Although most of my templates make more than 1 card. 2 is usually the minimum, and sometimes they make up to like 4 cards. This template from 1 6x6 paper makes 2 A2 size cards. So in order to use up the paper and have no scraps, you'll want to make both cards, and that is what I will do today. I'm not going to show you everything in the video, but I would, as you saw there, had 2 bears colored because I'm going to make 2 cards. This is the ReverseConfetti Huggable stamp set. I picked the bear from the stamp set because I figured, honestly, he would be the easiest one to fussy cut, and I didn't want to get out my scan and cut machine to cut something. I have found myself fussy cutting a little bit more than getting out my scan and cut recently, not because it does a bad job. I actually really like my scan and cut. When I compare the time that it takes to load up 1 or 2 images in the machine and scan it through, a lot of times I can cut faster than that, and I don't mind the fussy cutting. But of course, there's coordinating dyes available as well. I'm going to color this with my Copics. I chose the warm grays. I want him to look like a black bear. I actually colored him before I chose all of the things that I would put on the card, so I wanted to keep him nice and neutral, and I wanted the heart in his hand to match the pink in the paper. So I picked out just the pattern paper, but I hadn't picked out anything else, and I wanted to keep him nice and neutral. I did eventually go with craft cardstock, and that's why this warm gray works out well, and that's, you know, those 2 decisions were related because the warm gray has a little bit more of a brown tone to it. I'm just doing a light to dark. I'm picking to put all of his shadows on the left side. I wish I would have maybe chosen more colors and left the darker darks darker. I know that sounds weird, but basically there's not a lot of contrast on the bear. I would have preferred a bit more contrast is what I'm trying to get at. I find that if I, make my shadow areas really dark, overall the coloring feels like it has more dimension, but you certainly don't need to do something like that. And so once you pick which side you want your shadows on, I just start with my darkest and blend to my lightest. Some people like to start with their light color. I just find it takes more time. And even when I'm coloring larger, much more detailed image, if you use good quality paper, that doesn't tend to matter. So I use Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock for my Copic coloring, and I find that works really well. I don't use it for my card bases because it's very expensive, but for my Copic coloring, I find that it just blends so much better than, say, my Accent Opaque, which I use for my background, so I've switched over to it, and I found it worth the expense. I'm going to stamp the For My Friend sentiment from the same Huggable stamp set. I'm going to stamp it directly onto a banner tag that I have glued onto my center focal point panel there. I'm just going to use a stamp block. I have found that I'm getting good impressions with my stamp block, and I think I have gotten to some false thought that I needed to always use my MISTI, always make sure my sentiments were straight, etc. But I'm finding like using my stamp block is just fine for my sentiments. If you found this video inspiring, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.